This is one of the best eggplant dishes of all time. Eggplant fatteh is perfect for iftar if you want something vegetarian. I got this recipe from my dear friend Cindy. She's an amazing cook and she is Palestinian and Jordanian and taught me this eggplant fatteh recipe. Exact measurements will be in the caption, but we start by chopping up 1 very small onion and then 3 medium-sized tomatoes, and then we're going to peel our eggplant and then slice it into like thin layers, and then we're going to chop those into little cubes. So I'll show you how I did that here. I just made the layers and then I sliced them vertically and then horizontally to get the cubes. And I'm showing this in detail because I actually wasn't sure how to do it myself. So if you don't know how, here's how you do it. And then you want to set that off to the side. So this is a multi-step process because there's several layers that go into the fatteh. So the first step is going to be frying up our eggplant. So what I did was I just got a wok out and I filled it with enough oil, probably like halfway. And then I heated up my oil on high, and then I put a little plate off to the side with some paper towels to take it out after it's done frying. And then I just placed my eggplant in there. And you might have to do this in 2 batches. I did for 1 very large eggplant. I also want to mention that you don't have to fry the eggplant if you're trying to be healthier. You could roast it in the oven, just coat it with some olive oil and roast it until it's soft and brown. I really love the taste of the fried eggplant though, so I do deep fry it. But then to counteract that in terms of health, I air fry the pita chips, which I'm going to show a little bit later in the video. So it's up to you, because some people also deep fry the pita chips, so it's like double deep frying, which is really delicious, but it makes it a bit heavier. So you can adjust these steps to your preferences. This took about 5 to 8 minutes to get it to look brown and golden like this, and then once it was done, I just took it out with a slotted spoon and put it off to the side. Then the next step is to make our tomato sauce. So we're going to start off with some olive oil in a pan, and then we're going to start to saute our onions for a little bit. And these don't need to get super golden. You just want to get like a little bit of a browning on them. And then we're going to add some garlic paste or fresh garlic, but if you have paste, you can just use that. Saute it for a minute and then add your tomatoes and then saute those as well. And then I just increased my heat over here. And then I added a heaping tablespoon of tomato paste, and you want to cook this down, and then you want to add a splash of water to help cook down the tomato paste. Continue to saute that, and then we're going to add pomegranate molasses. And if you don't have this, I would say it's pretty essential to the taste of the dish. You can find it at any Middle Eastern grocery store, and if you do want to do more Arabic or Middle Eastern cooking, it's a good ingredient to keep on hand because it's used in a lot of dishes. I also want to mention that some people make this dish with meat, but the vegetarian version is so good it doesn't need meat in my opinion. But if you want to make it with meat, I would just say look it up online as to how to do it. I honestly don't know. I assume you just saute the meat and then add it into the tomato sauce and cook it until it's tender. So I'm adding salt, black pepper, and red pepper flakes. I'm just going to cook this down, and then I'm going to add the lid and let it simmer for a good 15 minutes on medium-low. Then we're going to make our pita chips, which is going to add this phenomenal crunch to the dish. And you just want to take some pita bread and slice it into like vertical strips. And then you want to cut those strips into cubes. And I'm using really old pita bread here. Like it was in the freezer for maybe like 6 months. But you know, it's Ramadan and we don't want to waste anything. And once you fry it, it's good as new. So you can use any stale pita bread that you have on hand. Or if you don't have any, just get some from the Middle Eastern grocery store. And then we're going to air fry this in batches because you don't want to crowd the air fryer basket, and you want to spray it with some nonstick cooking spray, and then you want to air fry this at 400 degrees for about 7 minutes. But then the second batch will be less time because the air fryer will be preheated, so then you can just do it for like 5 minutes after that. Okay, so then we're going to move on to making our yogurt sauce. This is a combination of yogurt, garlic, and then salt and some tahini. And I don't have exact measurements. I'll try to estimate in the caption, but I pretty much just did what felt right. This is maybe 2 cups of yogurt and a couple of tablespoons of tahini, pinch of salt, and then a small tablespoon of garlic paste, or you can use like 2-3 cloves of fresh garlic. And then you just want to add a squeeze of lemon juice to tie it all together, and then mix it really well with a whisk. And now we can finally move on to the last step, which is sauteing some almonds. So you could also use pine nuts. I had some almonds on hand. I used that. And you just want to fry these up. It adds another layer, like another element of flavor and crunch to the dish. So if you don't have a nut allergy, I highly recommend adding the nuts. But if you do have an allergy or you don't like them, you can skip it. And you just want to toast these until they're very golden brown and then take them off the heat immediately so they don't burn. And then here I'm just showing you my little assembly station. Now, you can do this a couple different ways. If you want your pita to stay very crunchy, you don't have to add any to the bottom of the dish. I like a half soggy, half crunchy, so I put half of the pita chips on the bottom of the tray and then started to layer half of our yogurt sauce. And then I added our tomato sauce, but I mixed the fried eggplant into the tomato sauce. I'm going to show you here. Like, I just put the eggplant into the pan that had the tomato sauce, mixed it up, and then I put all of the sauce with the eggplant over this layer, and then I added the rest of our yogurt sauce and the rest of our pita chips on top of that. So if you have the pita chips on the top, they're not going to get soggy. And you can wait until immediately before serving this to add the pita chips if you're doing this earlier in the day. And then I added some parsley. And I know this isn't actually accurate, but in my mind, parsley is for Arabic cooking and cilantro is for Desi cooking. I don't know what you think, but that's why I added parsley, not cilantro. Then I added the rest of our pita chips. And this dish is usually served cold, but I like it room temperature. Honestly, it's good a little bit warm. And then I added our toasted nuts on top, and this is it. It's so delicious. Like, you don't even notice that there's not meat in it. Like, you don't miss it. That's how good this dish is. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and please stay tuned for the rest of my Ramadan series.